Inside at last.
Welcome, fellow taffers, to the one and only thief-dedicated podcast, Inside at Last. I'm here with my fellow taffer, Nex.
Hi.
And we have a special guest today, and we are honored. The one and only Psych0sis, or Psycho, as we will call him in this episode, famous speedrunner of the Thief games. And yeah, you can imagine what the topic today will be. It's speedrunning. Hi, Psycho. How are you?
Hey, I'm good.
You're
How are you
good.
guys? Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, since the episode is all about speedrunning and, of course, about your expertise today, but of course, first, maybe you can introduce yourself a bit, like some maybe information that would be interesting for the listeners and for us as well.
My name's Psych0sis. I started speedrunning the game back in late 2017. Just because it was inspired after seeing Games Done Quick, which actually just ended this week. I don't know if either of you caught the event. It's a huge speedrunning, like marathon, where they just get a bunch of games and I ran Thief at it, which we'll get into later. And I was like, I want to speedrun. And I was thinking, well, my favorite game ever made is Thief 1 or Thief Gold. And, they have the stats screen at the end of the levels that have, time taken to beat. And I was like, I bet I could push that down like as low as I can. And I looked it up, and there was actually a couple other runners, and just hit them up. And that's it. I love the game to death. Like, I would not speedrun the game if I didn't love it. Like, I'll just say that.
Do you run any other games, or is this just the first one?
I started with Thief, and then I branched out a little bit. Like, I run Blood as well, like the old game Blood. If either
it's a shooter, right?
That. Yeah, FPS game. I've dabbled like in Duke Nukem and a couple other games, like mainly like old retro FPS type games and Thief.
So, am I right? Is my information correct that you are still do you hold the world record for Thief 1?
No, not anymore.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. There's a lot of competitive and talented speedrunners. Like, I would say at the end of 2017, there was like no one running the game, for the first game especially. Like, there was a couple who ran Thief 2, and that's a little weird because we'll get into that later. But Thief 1 had like no one running it, and I kind of took it upon myself to kind of try and start up a little get together of other people and get other people interested. And through that, I've gotten, like, we've had many talented players come through, like Count and Black Secret and a couple other people. And right now, Count is the world record holder for the Dark Project on the old engine, which we could get into that later, because that's like a whole can of worms.
Yeah,
the old engine, new engine, and stuff like that.
Yeah, we will go deep into that later. I just wondered, like, when did the idea for speedrunning come through other speedruns you saw, right? I got that right.
The Game's Done Quick. Yeah.
Can you maybe, people wouldn't think of speedrunning actually a game that is where you are supposed to be slow and hideous, and I think that's a very interesting point of view. Like, you do the total opposite, and I can imagine that this game, especially the first one, I guess, is like really good speedrunnable because it's very buggy, right? And bugs fall into your hands for speedrunning, right?
Yeah, especially on the old engine. It's like pretty sure they didn't even test anything on that game, because everything like you could just go through walls and fly through the air. And like when you're watching the speedrun, you're like, this is not how you play Thief. You're supposed to crouch down low and stay in the shadows and pick when and where you want to approach enemies. But like when you're speedrunning, you don't care, because it's an old game. The AI is terrible, and you could just run by everybody.
Maybe for like maybe some people don't really know. Maybe we should just explain, and maybe you can do it best. What is speedrunning actually?
Well, speedrunning is ultimately the goal. The goal of speedrunning is just to beat the game as quickly as possible, right, beginning to end. Thief is like pretty easy to do this with, because you start at training and then you end at maw for the first game, and then second game it's interference and sabotage. So all we do is just like if we're doing a full game run, we call it. We just sit down and beat every level in order, except for expert on the first game, and I'll explain that later. But for sorry.
Do you have like because this is the total opposite of like I think most people think the king area is like supreme ghosting, but I think there are like two sides of that. You know, it's like the supreme ghosting, which is basically the total opposite of what you do. And I think, but speedrunning is also like you put a lot of effort into finding out all those little things, glitches you use. But are there any rules? Because supreme ghosting is filled with the rules. And do you have some rules?
Yeah. Well, okay. So obviously, the main rules is like no cheating. So like no, external programs. Because a little known fact on the old engine, if you increase the FPS to values above 60, the game runs faster. So in order to whatchamacallit, create like an even playing field, we kind of limit it to 60, because I think everyone should be able to run the game at 60. And actually, a lot of the tricks only work really at 60. And another general rule is there's no level skip cheat code. Like you know the cheat code for that? Like it's the in-game cheat code.
Control Alt Shift and
End.
And for I wasn't sure if it's the same button naming for you.
Yeah, Control Shift Alt and End. Like if you hit all those at the same time, it skips the level and like completes it and whatever.
I needed this when I was younger, 11 years, and playing this because sometimes I was really scared.
Yeah, but we felt like obviously, and some people on Through the Looking Glass forums kind of joked about this, that why don't we just hit that cheat code 12 times and end the game? But that would kind of make it unfun.
Yes.
Yeah, that like what would be the point at that point? You're just hitting the same keybinds 4 times in a row, or 12 times, whatever it is.
So you are not allowed to cheat, but you are allowed to use bugs and exploits, right, within the game that are just there from the basics.
Yeah, so whatever the engine allows you to do without like tweaking it, like like going into like the files and tweaking stuff, if you could do it in game with like in-game controls and whatever, it's perfectly fine.
And then there's of course, like as you mentioned before, there's like different categories. Of course, if a new patch comes out, especially today, like with the new Dark, then this always has to be named, right? So you play this version of this game at and so because things can change.
Yeah, so we have it like for the first game, it's a little confusing. We have Old Dark, which is the original engine as it released back in for the first game, 1998, I believe. That's when the Dark Project came out. And between that and Gold, they actually changed it a little bit, but it's basically the same engine between them. And then there's the other category, New Dark, and that one, it's a little like we haven't really figured out the rule set for that one, because it is an unofficial like fan-made patch, so we don't know what to regulate it on. As of right now, we only allow people to run T-Fix with it for Thief 1, and we suggest, and it could be any T-Fix patch, but anything after 1.22, for some reason Voodoo decided to add something that completely blocked a trick, and we just didn't like that he did that, so we tell everyone to just use patches before that.
Okay. What was that? What specific trick? Can you name it? Explain it.
So he decided to put a gate on top of a wall to not let people mantle out of bounds, because I really don't want to be rude to him, because what he does actually for Thief 1 and like the T-Fix and all that is actually pretty awesome, that he takes his time to like bundle that all together and give it to everybody. But he decided that you were never able to mantle that wall with old mantle, but you were. So for some reason he just didn't know that and decided to patch it out himself. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my thought. Like the new mental thing must have been given you like a whole new world, or
Yeah. So like old mantle, that's what we call it. Old mantle allows you to basically like glitch through walls, but it's also really bad. Like like you can't mantle like half the things you try to mantle.
yes.
And new mantle is like a lot better, but as a result, it's a lot harder to do, like wall warping tricks and other stuff.
That's interesting. I thought it's the other way around, maybe.
No, it you could still actually wall warp with the new mantle, and we'll get into that later, but it's just a lot more difficult and specific, like when and where you could do it. Whereas with the old engine, you could pretty much do it anywhere.
So, can you just maybe to come to a conclusion with the versions, like what is the fastest version?
So the fastest version is Old Dark, the Dark Project. So as it released in 1998,
Okay.
we run the latest patch of that Looking Glass actually released, which is 1.33. It's called like the Platinum Edition if you look it up on eBay or whatever.
Yeah.
They fixed a couple of bugs in that, but not really anything, and it's the easiest to get a hold of nowadays.
I think when they would have fixed bugs in that game, all of them, they could have made a new game, actually.
Yeah, they did actually fix one major bug between the Dark Project and Gold, which is kind of funny. Have either of you ever heard of like the skull blocking the door on Return to the Cathedral?
Yeah, but maybe please explain it.
So what you do is you could only do this on Old Dark, the Dark Project. You cannot do it on any other version of the game.
Okay.
New Dark or Gold, either versions. For some and what they did was they made the door have a weight value of only 1 or something like that, and they made the skull have a weight value of like 1,000. So if anything's heavier than a door, it blocks it. Usually Garrett is, and like maybe bodies are the only things that could block doors, if I recall correctly. But you can block a door with the skull. So you would open the front doors of Return to Cathedral after like putting the talismans in, and there's a skull on the ground, and if you just like throw it on the ground in front of like the open door, when it tries to close, it just stops. And what happens is it stays open the entire time, because you know how like when you go inside and you get the eye, it everything closes and the front doors lock.
Yes.
And you're supposed to leave out the back way and talk to the ghost and all that. It can't close, so it just stays open, and you could just leave out the same way you came, and it completes the last objective, which is leave the cathedral.
I wonder, like, I'm not a speedrunner. I'm really impressed by the people who do that. But so there are so many things you have to find out first. So I imagine like there are like a couple of speedrunners worldwide, and they just play the missions over and over again, and they try everything, and then they put it on the internet, and then the other speedrunner reads this and it's like, oh yeah, I have to try this. And at the end, it's just a combination of things unique people found out, right? And they put everything together. Is it right? Or
yeah, there, like in speedrunning in general, there's a couple of groups of people. There's like the bug finders, right? The people who just mess around with the game, like put in a bunch of different combinations of keys and whatever, and see if something breaks, or like try to push themselves into a wall and see if they eventually go through it. Like these are the people that make or break a speedrun, because they'll find something that you just didn't even think was possible. Then there's like people who create routes. So this is important for Thief, because the loot requirements on most of the levels, we it's like the salesman problem, if you ever heard of that, when like what's the fastest route between all these different points, and then to get to the end and back and whatever. Because most levels in Thief, it actually applies really well. You have to pretty much get back to where you started, or like back outside, whatever. So like a lot of time went into like finding out, okay, can we turn left here and pick this piece of loot up, or should we go right instead and get like these 2 pieces of loot, then come back? A lot of work went into that.
It's math. It's a science.
Yeah, there's almost a science to it. It's like this way takes 2 seconds longer, but you get 500 more loot, and
Yes.
that's more valuable than the other way.
So what is because you do those speedruns, so there's
Mm-hmm.
something you get out of it, some enjoyment, right? So what is the biggest pleasure, like figuring out the speedrun or finally doing the best speedrun possible so far?
It depends on who you ask. For me, I just like seeing like a personal progression. Like, oh, I beat it in 30 minutes, but now I bet I could beat it in 29 minutes, And then, oh, I beat it in 29, now I bet I could beat it in 28. And it's just like, to me, that's what I enjoy, is every time, I get a new, we call it a personal best, which is just beating the game as fast as you can.
So it's like a racing team. Like there are others that engineer this stuff, and you are the one who runs the track. Then when everyone found out everything.
Yeah, I'm mainly just a runner. Like I tweak some things. I find setups for some things that work for me. Setups as in like like if I look here and then I do this. We'll get into that later because that's actually a lot harder to explain. But yeah, I mainly just run the games. And a lot of other people put in the time to find cool tricks and stuff. I can't wrap my head around like how to find a certain trick. It's kind of just otherworldly to me.
In other games, they would use tool assisted.
Yeah.
Are there any tool assisted speedruns in Thief?
Well, no, because it's harder to do that kind of stuff on a
computer. Yeah.
On a computer, because most tool assisted speedruns are games that are on console and are usually older games that have an emulator. And in an emulator, you could tell it to only play like one frame at a time, and you could tell it what press, like what key you want to press on that frame. So that's how they get it to be like really accurate. And in Thief, we can't really do that. And I don't know if anyone actually knows this, but there was a thing we called demos. You know what demos are?
You mean the recording of a game?
Yeah, so kind of like Doom, like how Doom would have a demo recording, and all that does is just record like your inputs and plays it back as a video.
Yeah.
Thief actually has that, but I assume they threw it, like they just threw it at the wayside halfway through development because it's really buggy.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, we tried to get that to work, and if anyone wants to tackle it, I'm pretty sure you can find it in the New Dark like files. I forget what you have to do to find it, but we tried to get that to work because that would be like the best thing we could do, is we could try to tell it like when to input inputs on certain frames and whatever. But as of right now, there's no real like robot run. That's what task runs essentially are. It's like run by a robot.
Okay, so yeah, like I said, it's like a science.
Yeah.
And as you said, like you run the things, and you are also, because you were mentioning the what was it called? The convention.
Oh, Games Done Quick.
Games Done Quick, right? And yeah, I actually saw the video from you there where you explained the Thief 1 speedrun, which it was really great because you explained things very nicely. I think to an audience that maybe doesn't really know about the game because it's so old and not so famous. But you were really great at that. Like, please tell me a bit about this convention because I was interested in it. How did you come to that, and that you can play Thief 1 there? Can you like say, hey, I want to play this game in front of an audience and earn some money for a good thing, for a charity?
Yeah.
Right. Or how did you get there?
Well, Games Done Quick has been an event that's been going on since 2013. It started as just like a humble little, we're gonna do, we're gonna speedrun some games back to back to back, and any donations during it are gonna go to charity. And somehow it like ballooned up into this whole like huge week-long, almost convention. It's held in a hotel, so it's not really a convention, but it is kind of like a, it's just an event that you go to. And when I submitted my Thief to Games Done Quick, I actually wasn't expecting to get in because they only have, I believe they only accept around like 200 games, and they get over 1,000 submissions.
Okay.
So yeah, and usually they take like the more popular ones, like Mario,
to attract people
Mega
for the
Man.
charity, I guess. Right?
Yeah, like, oh, I love this game when I was younger. So I was like, Thief, in my opinion, it's a little niche. So I didn't think it was gonna get in, but it was the first time I've ever submitted to it, and I kind of did it like last minute because I was like, oh, if I get in, it'll be fun, and it
Yeah.
actually got accepted, and I was like kind of thrown off because I was like, oh, wow, okay, I actually have to go and do this now
Great.
because if I don't go, then I'll be doing a disservice to this game, and the main reason I actually wanted to get it on there is I just want more people to play Thief. I don't care if they speedrun it or if they play it casually for the first time, or if they remember playing it when they were younger and they're like, oh wow, that's why I tried to mention, oh, there's fan missions and stuff that you can just keep playing and playing.
Yeah, you did a great job on that. I really had sympathies.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Like I just love this game, so I wanted more people to play it.
As
and,
we do, like that's why we do. Like I think there's like modern commitment to this because forum interviews are pretty outdated. So today you have to do like a podcast or a speedrun or a let's play about supreme ghosting. I think those add to the because I read about many younger audiences, like many, but once in a while there's someone joining in the forums who says like, "Hey, I'm 15." So he hasn't been alive when Thief was released. So, but he's like, oh, and I saw this in a Let's Play or something like that. So I think it's always great if people still still do something for the game and so at the end for the community, I guess.
Yeah,
So,
like
great job from you.
Thank you. After the run, like when after the run ended at GDQ, like a lot of people actually joined our speedrunning Discord, and a lot of them didn't want to speedrun. They wanted to play the game and tell me how great I did and another kind of such stuff. But and that felt really cool. And yeah, like that was my main reason just for playing it. I just wanted to show this game to the world. And if someone wants to speedrun, that's cool. If someone just wants to play it, that's cool.
It's very interesting because like as I said at the beginning, like because with a speedrun you obviously do the total opposite of you don't show the real game actually. And you said a lot like, yeah, this is very buggy and this is very buggy. But I think it's a really interesting point. Like maybe people after the speedrun, they still have no real idea like what it's really like if you first play it and you don't know how the AI works and so you're just hiding in the corner maybe for 10 minutes. I remember when I was a child, and maybe they get a total wrong impression. Maybe I would love to see their faces like, that's what it's all about. Okay, it's total opposite of a speedrun, but great. So yeah, great job from you. So I think next.
Yes.
I think we can now maybe go more into detail. I think we have maybe explained like what it's all about, what Psycho does, and the main things. Next, come on, give us a basic question. What you always wanted to know.
A basic question.
No, I forgot one thing.
Okay.
To Psycho, Nex is also someone who finds out things. I have to tell the story because I think it's really funny. It was 2 days ago, right?
Yeah.
Or two or 3 days ago, I got a voice message on the mobile phone from Nex, and with a picture of a. You have to, I'm just, I don't know where I was. Just open my mobile phone, and I get the picture, and it looks like, what is that? And it was actually a crate in Thief 2 underwater. And then there's an audio message to it like, hey man, you know what, maybe I put the message at the end of the podcast, but hey man, you know what I just found out, in Thief 2 mission 2 shipping and receiving, I always try to get over the rocks behind the ship, but I could never do it. But now I found out like that I could mantle onto the box, but like a little child, he was so excited. I really have to publish the message, I think, if you're cool with that. It was like a little boy, like who just found out that I don't know, if you open the box of cornflakes at first before your sister, you get the toy. You know, there's a toy in it actually. So yeah, that was just a little anecdote I wanted to tell. But next, now go on with your.
Yeah, well, coincidentally, it was the very same day that I watched, because I've watched the Count's speedrun of Thief 2, but that very same day when I discovered that, I went and checked out Psych0sis's speedruns, and I was 2 hours later, I was again like a child, for a couple of reasons, which I'll mention shortly, but. Because I have found a few new things which I want you to explain. But first of all, which you said you're not as experienced in Thief 2. You're more into Thief 1.
Which is funny. The first game I ran was Thief 2, and that was only because like there was actually more people playing the game at that point, so it was easier to kind of like watch a video and see what to do. But like after when you know, because Thief 2 they fixed bunny hopping, which is kind of simple. You just keep chaining jumps as you land, and you get more and more speed. They fixed that in Thief 2, so overall it's a lot slower of a game. It feels kind of sluggish, especially after you play like Thief 1 and you're hopping all around and flinging everywhere. So yeah, I'm not too versed on Thief 2. I could probably still answer like pretty much every question about it.
I would. Which one would you like to touch first? Perhaps maybe Thief 2 to get to the
yeah,
basics.
Let's just get it out of the way, because that's probably the more popular game of the two, I think.
Okay. So just to start with, you mentioned something about flings in Thief 2.
So because of the speed limit on Thief 2, you can't really fling in Thief 2. You just cannot fling. So what a fling is you walk up to an object, and this is like if you go into DrawMed, and you if any of you out there know what DrawMed is, you place down an object, so like a lamppost or a door, and brushes are more like, I look at brushes like Legos, like you just put them down and build stuff like houses and stuff.
Yeah, more like terrain.
Yeah, so you can't fling off terrain, but you can fling off objects, and it's just something to do with the friction on them, and they kind of didn't calculate that correctly. So if you walk up to an object and you lean to one side and then just swipe your mouse the other way, so if you lean left with Q and then you swipe right, you'll be like flung off of it and go like an insane amount of speed. It only works on the first game's old engine, and
so
the reason why it works on the old engine instead of the new engine is because the new engine is based on Thief 2, which fixed that friction issue actually. So
I see.
Yeah, it's only available on that one version of Thief Gold and Dark Project.
It's like the technique that they use in Half-Life.
Sort of. No, actually, a little bit. Like you're talking about the one where they grab the object and they like move it, and they like move with it. A little bit. This one's more just the friction of the object. That one's like the wonkiness of moving an object. Yeah.
I don't even mean the mechanic in Half-Life 2 where they put it beneath them and jump on top of it. I mean when they have it just looks like they sort of grab the object and do something, and then they fly away.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's they're still moving the object. Like I don't know Half-Life speedrun at all, but like I actually, when I was at GDQ, I actually talked to a Half-Life runner, Proto-Os, if he somehow listens to this. He was a really cool guy. He showed me a lot of tricks for Half-Life, and he showed me that one, and I was like, oh, that's kind of like flinging, and he was like, oh, you guys have that too? That's awesome.
Yeah, so comparing your speedrun with Count speedrun, and you as Alex said before, that somebody finds something new, posts it online. I was surprised that because Count currently is the world record holder for Thief 2. I found that in a couple of places your techniques were much faster, even like not some that were not as complex, like in the beginning of Blackmail. You just use the noise arrow to make the guard open the door, where he would use rope arrow and climb over, which was of course
Slower, yeah.
Slower, yeah, much slower.
Well, that okay. So if you look at like the dates of the speedrun, mine's later. We found that out later.
Oh, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, we found out that he actually was the one to find that out.
Oh.
He just doesn't want to really grind the game right now because Thief 2 is really grindy. I'll actually just say it now. You know the level eavesdropping, where you have to stand by the door and listen to the conversation.
Key positions, right?
You cannot. Well, first off, you cannot skip that cutscene or that like dialogue. So you're just sitting there for 5 minutes doing nothing.
I saw that.
So it's already like kind of a boring level. And then afterwards, after 5 minutes, it's actually 5.5 minutes of sitting there doing nothing. Only then do you learn where the key is. And depending on where, like, which one's the right key, you lose a lot of time. There's only one really good key. It's down in the factory. Yeah. Because the objective is to get the key and then make a mold of it, which is in the factory. So, you know, if it spawns there, it's amazing. And that's only a 1 in 10 chance.
Oh my God. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I'm at, and that's thankfully it's only 10 minutes into the run, so I mean, you know, it's not much time. It's not like it's 30 minutes into the run where you wasted a half hour to learn that, oh, the game just decided to give me the worst key, you know, like the East Tower key. We make a meme of it, you know, the least tower key. We don't want that one. It's just that loses like over almost 2 minutes.
So I was born in Least
out of the way. So he doesn't. I believe I haven't asked him about this specifically, but I believe he just does not want to grind that game out anymore because of that level. It's just you know, like imagine sitting there for 5 minutes only to learn, oh hey, you got the bad key. Sorry.
Yeah, and do it again.
And I think he's like kind of passive aggressive. He swears a lot, so I think he's someone who gets annoyed very fast.
He's very passionate about speedrunning. He that's why he's so damn good. He is so passionate about, because he, like me, I'm like as long as I beat my personal best, I'm happy. You know, I'm feeling good. He's like, no, I want it to be as low as it can be. I'm going to do every strat, even if it saves, you know, like half a second. I'm going to do it because I want this to be like a god run. You know, he wants, because that's his passion. He just loves seeing a game go as low as possible, and that's why he has both games that he runs. He has the world record because he's that dedicated to it. He'll grind a single level that's like 10 seconds long. Like Return to the Cathedral is only about 16 seconds long. He'll grind that for 16 hours straight. He doesn't care. I know. Like to me, that's like commitment. Whoa. Yeah, to me, like I'll give it like an hour maybe, and then I'll be like, you know what, this is annoying. Because but he'll go 16 hours until he gets it because he wants to just see that go down one more second. So yeah, like I'm surprised he doesn't want to grind down Thief 2 with that kind of mindset, but he just said it's kind of annoying, and he already has first place, so he kind of like doesn't feel motivated enough to go to it. I actually haven't talked to him much about why he doesn't want to grind Thief 2. But
I have one question. Just yeah, you said you like Thief 1 more than Thief 2.
Both casually and as a speedrun, yeah.
Yeah, is it? I was just wondering, like, is it because like Thief 1 is better for a speedrun, or is it more basically like maybe story and whatever?
Well, casually I like it better because I think the story is a lot more interesting. I think the atmosphere of some of the levels is a lot more well done. I always say this to anyone: when Thief 2 is great, it is amazing. It is a phenomenal game, and when it's really bad, it's one of the worst games you ever played. Like Trace the Courier, I don't know. I hope neither of you like that level. That level is probably the worst level in the entire series.
Here.
And same with
which one was it?
Trace the Courier, where you follow her with the note in her hand.
Oh right, yeah. I was just mentioning that yesterday to you next, right? Like, with those follow-up missions, yes.
And Ambush is also another bad one.
Yeah, and they reused the
same town again. You could tell like by the end of Thief 2. By the end of Thief 2, they started to run out of money, so they just used the same level layout pretty much.
Yeah, shame.
Like the mission where you had to be Forced Ghost, I think it's called. No, it's not Framed.
It's Framed, yes.
No, not that one. I'm talking about the one. It's right before Masks. I can't remember the name.
Casing the Joint.
Casing the Joint. I hate that level.
Huh.
But then I love Masks because Masks is more. It doesn't punish you for making a mistake, whereas you're forced to ghost and I
So
like ghosting, but
So right now you're talking. Are you speaking in general or from a speedrunner's perspective?
I'm talking in general because I wanted to get that out of the way because some people are probably going to be like, oh, why does he like Thief 1 more? Thief 2, I think is when it's great, but when it's bad, it's so bad.
Basically, for me, it's like I think in Thief 2, they found more welcoming art style, in my opinion. And I think the story totally makes sense. Like there's a new group coming from the Hemorrhoids, blah, 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 blah. But of course, I think the twist in the story at Thief 1 was like something you will never forget.
Yeah.
It was really done well. And for its time, it was 2 years earlier, it was like an impact. I prefer Thief 2 because I don't like zombies and all the supernatural stuff. And they reduced that in Thief 2, which is like, for me as a 12-year-old or what I was, this was like really welcoming. Like, oh yes, no zombies here, no zombies there.
I was actually disappointed that they got rid of all like the ghosts and zombies because that made the world more unique to me.
No,
whereas
that made
in Thief 2 it kind of just felt like
so casual. It was so, for me it was really uninspired because as you see, I think the mechanists, the things or the machines they have, they actually, in my opinion, fit better into the lore.
I will admit the mechanists are probably like the best part of Thief 2. By far. Like I thought they were pretty cool.
The idea was great. Yeah. But for me personally, the story of Thief 3 is the best. So
actually, I haven't played Thief 3 in a long time, so I actually don't even remember.
With a witch.
Yeah,
with a cradle.
I vaguely remember it.
The cradle mission, everyone.
The cradle
remembers.
mission, I will never forget.
No one does. I think this is like the Thief gets mentioned in top lists for two things, for two missions: the cradle and the house.
The sword.
The sword, right? Because those are levels you won't forget if you have played them, for different reasons actually, which is cool. But yeah, Thief 3, in my opinion, had the most exciting story because it was so far into the game you were misled to, like, you think the keeper, it's the keeper's fault, they are the bad guys, but there's a witch mentioned just like on one letter or two, and you're like, oh yeah, it's a side story, and then later it turns out to be the plot. That was really cool, but that's not our topic for today. So next, go on. I just try to make things a bit easier in between, and then we go deep. We dive back after we got some air.
Of course. Please continue to do so, because I have a lot of.
We are a team, buddy.
I feel bad. I didn't answer the other part of your question though, which is why do I like Thief 1 more for speedrunning?
I interrupted. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Like we got sort of sidetracked on just general talk, but for speedrunning Thief 1, first off, the levels are a lot shorter, so it's just a lot quicker. There's bunny hopping, which I talked again earlier with the jumping as you land. In Thief 2, they cap the speed, so you can't do it.
More wall warping.
The wall warping, you can actually do that still on Thief 2, but it's more of a Thief 1 specialty, because in Thief 2, I don't know if they like wised up to it, but you can only do it through 1 unit thick walls. So if you go into Dramid and you create like a solid brush, if it's 1 unit thick or less, you can warp through it. Yeah. But in Thief 2, every wall is at least 2 units. So I don't know if they like just learned better like building practices, or if they like had someone in their QA team point that out to them. Recently, actually, the Amorphous, who's another like pretty good speedrunner, he makes a lot of content like teaching people how to play the game and how to speedrun it, rather. And he had an interview with Randy Smith, who created some of the levels in Thief and was actually the lead game designer on Thief 3. And Randy didn't even know about the trick, so I guess they just got lucky from a speedrunning standpoint that they made every wall 2 units thick. But yeah, and I also said earlier the friction on objects got fixed, so you can't do like the flicks off of them and whatever. So overall, like Thief 1 is just a lot quicker, and therefore it's a lot less grindy feeling to me. So I kind of just enjoy it more.
So I suppose, are there any random elements like the keys in
Yeah.
eavesdropping?
So there's the keys in eavesdropping, and for Thief 1, the general RNG, like everyone, a couple people who speedrun the game are not going to like that I say this, but there is like very little RNG in the game.
It's pretty much
Explain
just
RNG, please.
enemy spawnings, right?
Oh, sorry, yes. RNG, if you don't know, it's basically luck. It's a random number generator. So, it's kind of luck, but it's not really. It's like the code tells the game to roll a number. This is how I explain it. Roll a number between 1 and 100. If it's 50 or higher, do this action. If it's lower, do this action. So, you're kind of like taking a chance every time. So one example I could give, if you've ever made a mission or if you ever played a mission, you could give enemies a random patrol, I forget what the name of it is called, property on their patrol route. And what that does is every time they hit like a patrol point in their route, so if you go in the Andromeda, you can place down these points, which tells them like where to go and then when to turn and whatever. And every time they reach a point, there's a 50% chance they could just turn around and go back to the one they came from. So that's pretty much the only real RNG in the game, is whether or not like an enemy's spot at this exact time we're trying to go through it or not.
I thought it was a bug.
No. Like you could actually go into Andromeda, the mission editor for the game, go, open up one of the original, games, one of the original maps. The best is Escape from Thief 1. There's one hallway where it's so annoying because you could have all 3 like monkey beasts or 8 beasts, whatever you want to call them, in there, and it'll just clog the hallway and you'll probably die because on that level you only have like 2 HP.
Yeah.
When you start off, and in the speedrun, of course, we don't go out of our way to get health or anything, so we have 2 HP the entire level. So sometimes there's 3 monkeys there, sometimes there's 2, and and it's annoying. Like you could have 3 there, and you'll die, so you'll load your quick save and then come back, and there will be none because it's every time they reach it, it's individual. Like it's not set in stone at the start of the level, so it's kind of like really annoying. And like that pisses people off, especially if there's like all these people in the way. But like ultimately, it's not really. It's actually very like just skill dependent game, and that's why I like it too.
Awesome.
So in Thief 2, is there another one except the key?
Again, generally just enemies turning around.
Okay, so that's a basic thing, but nothing like in particular.
Yeah.
Because it would just interest me, like how many random elements are in there. Because
so some people, and I said, yeah. Well, here's one thing I neglected to say. Some people, when I said earlier, some people will be mad. Flinging off objects is kind of RNG in a sense. The how fast you flick the mouse and how like where you end up looking when you're done flicking can affect your angle and speed. So like that's kind of a luck sort of RNG dependent, but I think that's more still skill. But it's so like random, it might as well be luck.
So for people who can't imagine that, just look up one of maybe best like the speedrun from the Games Done Quick, because I was so impressed when I saw that because you know it, like it seems so easy when you do it, but for me as a Thief player, I know like no, this is not easy. You know, like with the mouse, you do that. I saw that, and then you look in the specific direction. I was like, how did they do that? But it's skill. I think it's more skill.
It looks intimidating, but once you like sit down, like you can learn the whole game, like the speed run of it, the first game, in like probably a couple hours. I think genuinely. It's not a very hard game. Obviously, once you get to a point where you're grinding, seconds, then it becomes a little annoying. But that's every speed game, to be honest.
Yes.
So coming back to Thief 2 and your speedrun of it, I saw a few tricks there that sparked my interest. For one, I suppose this is the most known one, but can you tell us more about the door speedrun speed potion trick?
Oh my. Okay, so I actually we had no idea how this worked, and I wasn't there when it was found. I wasn't speedrunning the game at the time. Randomly, like, people were drinking speed potions on Soulforge, the last level of Thief 2, because in the speedrun, in the buy menu, you get 3 of them. So we would buy all of them because, of course, you want to go faster. It makes everything better. And we would drink them, or the runners would drink them, and then like something bad would happen. So they would quick load back to after they would save after they drunk it, and then they would quick load back there, and somehow it just became infinite. And no one knew like how that worked until someone went into DrawMed and figured out. And this is like so cool that someone did this. And there's a I forget they're called a tweak in the thing. It's like it's usually stuff that tells things to do something or to stop doing something. And there's this one on off button, on do something, off do something. And when you drink the potion, or when you save then load like really quick as it's telling something to do something off, and then when you come back in, you from your load, you drink the potion, for some reason it'll tell your speed potion to turn off its timer, so it just becomes infinite. And so like we haven't looked into this too much, as honestly we should. So like in Thief 2 they added automatic closing doors, which send the turn on turn off signal. So that's why, like, you saw probably in my run, I was at the door and I would like click the door and then save load on like the same frame, and then when I load back in, I would drink the potion and just hope I get it, because we're still like trying to figure this out. I actually made a TTLG thread about it, asking some DrawMed wizards if they knew anything about this, and no one really could answer me, because I guess no one really looks into this sort of thing.
But that's really interesting, like all those little things. Like,
and
is it just working in Soulforge?
It just works actually in Thief 2 alone.
Okay, so but not just in that level.
It's in so far we found ones that work in Soulforge, Life of the Party, and Kidnapped.
And you still don't know why at the specific missions.
It could theoretically work in masks, but we don't have a speed potion to do it. And you're also thinking of casing the joint, actually. Where we do have a speed potion, but it's actually slower to do it there than to just run. It's actually slower to take the time to save load and do everything.
Yeah, because the first time I saw it performed was in one of these 2 missions.
Yeah, it's doable there, but it's slower. And it only works in Thief 2, because between Thief 2 and Thief 1 and Thief 2, in Thief 1 they counted it as a food buff, and in Thief 2 they counted it as a meta property. Like, they changed something in the scripting for it, and that allowed it to be, a meta property is actually the same thing as a like any other property in DrawMed. So you could confuse the game and make it switch between them. But in Thief 2 it's a food buff, which only is like on the player at that time, so it, like, you can't abuse it. We would love it if it was in Thief 1, because then it would make it even quicker.
That's a thing I like about those speedrun things, because I think you learn so much about what works behind all the techniques or everything, the programming and the scripts and everything, and suddenly things make totally more sense. I have to admit that before I was do some research about your speedrunning things, and Nex inspired me and told me some things, I never knew that I could jump on like an invisibility potion and mantle up somewhere. And I tried that. I tried that because Nex told me that, and I didn't know that in the mission where you have to confront Truard, after the mission you described, where you have to listen to Karas. So you can mantle up the balcony, and you can get into his room before triggering the script that they scream around that, oh, Truart is dead, blah, blah. And that was like, okay, I will try that because Next told me. And then I did that and I couldn't get up the balcony, but then I threw down that little invisibility potion, or I don't know, slow falling, doesn't matter. And then I could climb up. And then I entered the room and I was like, he's already lying there, yes, and a guard is patrolling there and he doesn't care. And that was like, okay, I never knew that. Of course, it's logical that it's just a basic script and they didn't expect you to do it like that. But that's really cool, like looking behind the mechanics.
Funny thing, you mentioned the blackmail thing. Before the latest patch of Thief 2, the 1.18, I believe, the last one that Looking Glass
the official released.
Yes. Yeah. You couldn't beat the level if you alerted the guys while they were doing their scripted dialogue. You could not beat the level. Like it would just soft lock. Like you would have to restart to before the dialogue. So that's actually why that trick works, because they removed that because they realized, oh, it's gonna cause people if they alert them or mess up or something to not even beat the game. So they removed that requirement from the objective, I think it was. And like if you found Truart, despite hearing it, it would just autocomplete both of them. So that's why we abuse that and we just run up there because we don't need to listen to that.
Okay. Yeah, and it's actually, I think it's faster, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's faster to go up the balcony and mantle there. And you said it earlier, like I know so much about this game, like from speedrunning it, like just so much about how things work, and it actually got me interested in Dromed because as a result, because I was like, I want to make a mission, you know, and use what I know to make a really cool, like fun level to explore around. And as like I know so much about this game, like I bet I know more than a lot of Dromeders. I'm not even like Skaki and Dr. Kubiak. I bet you I know so much more about the game than them. Because
but
I'm talking more technical.
but it doesn't matter for them. So no insults here.
Yeah,
it's that you need to know those things for your basic speedrun, for your basic missions, and they need to know how to be creative and how to do some scripts and stuff.
Did you know that you can just beat the Return to the Cathedral without doing any of the ghosts objectives?
I didn't know that, but that's why we're here.
If you just find out,
I'm not interested for the interview. I really don't know things. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, like you learn so much about the game from speedrunning. It's just amazing, like what you can learn.
And what I really like is you really explain them very nicely. So next we made a good choice here.
I had to I had to prepare for GDQ. I had to I didn't want to like run the game and be like, yeah, this happens. I don't know why. I talked with Skaki beforehand, and I was like, I researched everything. I was like, Kazee sounds right, and he's like, I don't know, dude. He didn't know. He was like, it sounds right to me, I guess. I don't know. And I had to actually delve into like the Dromed and stuff like that to figure out why things worked, and like you just learn so much.
But you did it, as I said, you did a great job. So for everyone, I would really say watch this, because it's not just about the speed running, but I think the whole thing, like how it was moderated and everything. It's a nice thing to watch as a Thief fan, and maybe not a Thief fan.
Yeah, indeed. And coming off of the statement that a lot of the Droomders and regular players don't know the game in such a detail as speedrunners would. I remember 2 years, 3 years ago, maybe even more, I was asking on the forums. I've just found about elevatoring, and I was at that point, I knew that some speedrunners were clipping into walls and everything, and I was always wondering, can that be done in Thief? Because my playstyle isn't completely Supreme Ghost, and I some of those exploits I take advantage of. And when I was saying before that I got my mind blown off when I saw your Thief 2 was because I saw you clip in the bank mission. And can you tell me a little bit more about
that? That is the coolest trick probably in that game. So the way that the Garrett's hitbox works is there's an upper body and a lower body. We call it his head and legs. So most enemies try to hit you in your upper body, and you take fall damage from your lower body, and we'll get into that later. But so what you do on the bank steps is it's right outside the vault. If you lean while walking up it, you can still walk up it, and then you'll get your 2 hitboxes like caught in between a solid brush. And
So
as a
that
result,
would be lean forward.
well, if you you have to do it sideways.
Sideways.
So when I do it, it's E, so lean right, and while walking up it, and you'll see, like, if you go and watch my speedrun of Thief 2, you'll see like I kind of like wedge myself into the top of the stairs, and suddenly like my head is above the floor and my feet are below it, and that allows you to walk through doors on certain levels. And in this one, we use it because the objective on that level is to open up the pipe or whatever it is from the vault. You know what I'm talking about? Like you have to get that
Yeah.
the security lock. Yeah, the locking mechanism. And you have to do like hit the 3 buttons in like a specific order. And it's right below the bank, or right below the vault.
The regular players press 7 to 8 buttons until it finally.
Yeah, we know which 3 in which order does it like right away. So yeah, like it's right below there. So, and there's a little gate where you could see it through the ground.
Yes.
So we're like, so our feet are below it, and all we have to do is mantle, and it just warps us down. Because whenever you try to mantle something, it tries to warp you down with new mantle.
But comparing the clipping in Thief 2 with your clipping in Mage's Tower and Thief 1, I found that Thief 2 was much more similar to other games in clipping into the walls, because you were actually falling in the free space, whereas in Thief 1 you were just kind of forcing yourself from one room to the other room with the wall between.
So in Mage Towers, we do this again, where we get our head above the floor and our feet below it. And door collisions only check for your feet. So if our feet are going under the door, we're just able to go through the door, even if it's like locked. So on Mage Towers, you have to go. Mage Towers casually is just a terrible level. You have to go through each tower one by one. It's really like just kind of forced, and we didn't want to do that. The old route for the level took 12 minutes.
Oh hell!
Before we found this out,
like half of the game for speedrun.
It was the speedrun was 55 minutes, and 12 of it was on that one level. And like the air tower is the most egregious, where you just stand on the platforms while they slowly go up and down, and you just gotta wait for them to do their thing.
There was a bug there as well, right? Where some platforms would just disappear.
I to be honest, I don't know, because I was the one who I don't want to say I found this trick. A speedrunner by the name of Xmodule 999, who kind of like does his own thing and he doesn't really talk to anybody, posted it, and we all thought he was cheating, because we're like, he doesn't talk to anyone. He's a little bit of a unique fellow. He has actually done what I said earlier with the cheating. Like, he edits the game files, and he goes into like draw med and takes like AI awareness off so they don't alert, and he does other wonky things.
Where's the fun? Does he publish them the results?
It's only for him. Okay, that's but we actually found out a lot of
videos of it, or not?
Yeah, he records and posts it on his channel, and we actually found out that a lot of what he has done is actually reproducible. So like at the time we thought he was a cheater, and he still definitely has edited some. We like proven that, but like a lot of what we thought was just him cheating again was actually doable.
He was splicing.
We don't know. I don't want to trash talk him, because actually a lot of the Thief 1 route was routed out of his video. Yeah. So I don't want to, like, I do appreciate everything he's done, but like he is a unique fellow. He does not talk to any of us, and whenever we try to talk to him, he just tells us off. So
I follow.
I think it's not trash talking. It's like just telling how he behaves or what he did. So
Yeah.
it's but still respectful. So I think that's the problem. Like if you cheated and you did it once, it's like I don't know if you in Germany we have that story with the shepherd, that calls like, oh, there are wolves 2 times, and the next time the real wolves arrive, no one reacts to it. So it's like, yeah, it's if you've done that and then you do something right, people will still consider that it's not done right. So yeah, bad luck.
But yeah, we watched his videos, as I was saying, on Mage Towers. We were like, there's no way that he could do that. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to sit down for like an hour and actually try to do what he did. And it actually did work. And I was like, oh my God, you can go right through every door. And and it's right outside the fire key door. So like the fire key is the last one you need. So we just go into the fire tower, get the last key, and then go upstairs and do that. But then we eventually found out because your feet are in below the ground, there's some brushes down below that block you. But if you like swing your weapon, and we have no idea why, it raises your legs a little bit. You could get over those brushes and then make your way upstairs to the last room.
Oh, that's an invisible game within a game.
Yeah, it's I don't know, like you said, like people just sit down, and Angder was the one who found that out. He's another like New Dark Thief Gold Runner. He sat down for I think a couple hours and figured out that it sounds like silly, right? All you have to do is swing and you could just do everything else. But like he didn't know that. So like he was trying everything in the book. He was leaning, he's trying to like rub up against the wall. Then he found out, oh, I could just swing and it takes me over this little hump, because that was the thing. We couldn't get into the central staircase because there was an invisible wall there was in our point of view, it was invisible, but it was actually there, a solid brush. And we couldn't get in the doorway, so we had to go through the fire tower first. But then we found out, oh, we could just go over it. And yeah, the body separation glitch is what we call it. That's probably the coolest glitch in the game.
So to be clear here, the only way of clipping within Thief 2 at least is to nudge yourself into angled space like the one in Bank.
No. Thief 2 you can Thief 2 and Thief 1 you could do all the same clips.
Okay.
So like in Thief 1 the good story about this one. After my GDQ run, if you watch my GDQ run, I do no like wall clips in it pretty much. And that was because we didn't find it at that time. And literally later that day, some guy who just joined the server was like, "Hey, I've been kind of interested in this game for a little bit. I'm playing it, and I just clipped through a wall." And everyone was like, "Wait, what?" And he showed us a video where you crouch, you lean, and then you jump, and that's all you have to do, and you just clip a wall. And we were like, "Whoa!" And you could do that with Old Mantle off, or Old Mantle on. Sorry. So you could do that in both Thief 1 and Thief 2 if you turn off New Mantle.
Oh, but it doesn't work with New Mantle.
It did not work at the time with New Mantle. Then we found out, and this was over a year later at this point. Actually, no, it was a couple months later. Almost a year now, but it was a couple months then. Someone found out that if you block with the blackjack while up against a wall, and this one's way more specific, which is why it's rarely used in Thief 2 in general. If you walk up to a wall and there's something above you 10 units or 10 units above your head, and you block with the blackjack while looking down, it spawns the blackjack hitbox. And what I mean by that is whenever you swing a weapon in the game, it spawns a hitbox, an invisible hitbox. And if an enemy AI is in that hitbox when it's spawned, it deals damage to them. So that's how you deal damage. But if you block with the blackjack, it spawns like a permanent hitbox at that moment. And if you look down while blocking, and you can mantle that hitbox. So you look down, you spawn it below you, and then you mantle while doing the lean. You get warped backwards.
Do you know by any chance, can you do this in water?
No.
No.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying. So the reason why you get warped is when you try to with Old Mantle, you're trying to mantle the floor, which is why all you have to do is crouch, lean, and jump. And if you're mantling the floor, whenever you mantle something in both new mantle and old mantle, it tries to warp you to where it thinks you're mantling from, and if it can't, then it just shoves you a unit away from it. So that's why if you're a unit away from it, you just go through the wall, or if the wall is a unit thick, I mean. So
I see.
yeah, so in both games, you're trying to mantle it. It can't tell where you're mantling it from, so it just warps you back a unit because it thinks, or if it thinks you're mantling while inside of it, then it'll warp you back. So that's why it needs to be 1 unit or less. And
Okay, so this would be wall warping, but clipping into the non-existent or the filled space.
the void, yeah,
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be
that's-
only achieved by.
doing the separation glitch, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Separating the head and the feet.
Is it always an angled space where you're nudging yourself into?
In Thief
question.
1, the one in Thief, yeah, that is because the one in Thief 1, it's not really. I don't know how that one works. It makes no sense to me.
I think it's slightly angled, isn't it?
You're walking into like a slightly angled wall if you ever watch the run, but like
did, yeah.
to me it doesn't make sense. But in Thief 2, it kind of makes sense that's happening because you're walking up it with your head on it, but your feet are off to the side. So like eventually when you reach like a ceiling, it's gonna like split them up. But
Yeah.
like in Thief 1, you just walk into this corner and suddenly your head goes through like the outside wall into the inside of the building. And it's like, okay, I mean, I guess, and that funny thing is, if you want to watch the run when I do it, I could probably send it to you guys later. When we do it, that's the only spot in the whole level where that works. Even though, you know how like there's the 4 towers and the bridges that go to them.
Yeah.
And they're all the same, so like they all in theory should work the same, but for some reason that's the only spot that it works on, so it's kind of unique.
Interesting.
But is that recreatable, or like can you see it in the editor, like why it just works there? Okay,
that's the only trick that like I would say I have no idea why it works. Like I don't know why.
I think it's because of the engine.
It could. The engine is just kind of janky. Even on New Dark, it's still a little wonky.
Yeah, but I think I'm so glad for the New Dark.
Oh yeah, like
yeah.
If you try to play Thief Gold or Thief 2 like with the original engine without like T-Fix or T2 Fix or Taffer Patch or whatever, and you're on like Windows 7 or Windows 8, it just won't play. Like the game will just crash. For some reason on Windows 10 it works.
Yeah, because
perfectly.
Windows 10 is amazing.
I
just
love
thought
Windows 10.
Next, because you can guess who is using Windows 7 still. No, but I was with a mantling. Just a little anecdote from today. I was just playing the mission from what is Cardia? That we had a forum, La Psych0sis or whatever it is.
Oh, the new mission he released.
Yeah, the new mission, and I installed the new Dark 127 for it. So then I started it, and I couldn't mantle anywhere. And I was like, wait, that feels like...
it probably didn't put on new mantle, yeah.
Right, but
yeah, you had to go into
it was like, wait, this is like back in the days, and I almost forgot how it was, and how amazed I was when I first tried new mantle. And this is like really, really, this is one of the best things added by fans.
Like I hate it because it makes some of like the wall warping tricks and speedrunning harder, but like casually it is so much better. Oh my god.
And I'm very casual with the game. So you know, my blackjack is like, it has almost it's more holes than blackjack.
Yeah, like the first time I ever played the Thief games was in 2013, so I only ever experienced new mantle. And when I started speedrunning and I turned on old mantle, I was like, oh my god, people played like this for 15 years before New Dark came out, or whenever it came out.
And I think how? It's not, you know, this new mantle doesn't do like something, oh, now Garrett has superpowers. No, I think the corners, the ledges you were grabbing sometimes, it was like, it doesn't make sense. He can go up there, but he can go up there. Why? So it's a great addition. Thanks for the people who do this.
Yeah. Shout out to them.
Now to leave more time for Thief 1 speedrun, I just want to ask you two more questions. Once we were talking about clipping into the wall, and you did it in near the bank vault.
Mm-hmm.
And in the bank vault, you have to wait for the elevator to come down.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that elevatoring is never used in the speed run. Is this a technique that's it's been proven to be too slow, or there's just no?
So
Okay.
just for the thing, elevatoring is like going up on torches and stuff, right?
Yes, yes.
I actually
Yes.
have. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I had no idea what elevatoring was because
Okay, so
That's
yeah,
why I'm asking. I know it, but just
is
for
that
the
when you
listeners.
like look straight up and you drop an object and then
you
like
have to
you
have
jump into it?
Yeah, you have to have. It's different for TIF 1, TIF or TIF 2. TIF 1 doesn't work with food. TIF 2 it works with food. Essentially it's looking directly above yourself, dropping an object. Let's say it's flare. Flares are the best for this. You then
Like
jump up.
I think I've
and
done
then
this before.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
It
you
like
keep
moves you up a
yeah,
little bit, and you have to
yeah,
keep dropping them and grabbing them. Okay,
yeah.
yeah, that's just slow. Like at that point, because you're only going up a very little amount.
It's like, but the thing is that the first two flares that you would put, because you look up and you would
Mhm.
drop the first one, and for the first jump you don't have to look down to pick up the bottom one. So to do a two flare leap is pretty fast, and I felt like maybe in the bank vault you could jump onto the control panel, do two flares and be up, and maybe you'd save like half a second and risk losing two. So maybe this is for count to implement.
Maybe. I don't know. Wait, is one of the requirements that you have to have it in your inventory when you drop
Yes.
it? So you have to have more than one, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and if you lose it, like if you drop the last one, it doesn't work, I think.
The last one doesn't work. You have to have three. Or you have to have two pairs of two.
Yeah, so okay. Oh, that is another trick. That we do what we call mine dropping. And the reason why that works actually is while you have more than one in your inventory, it counts it inside Garrett's hitbox.
Oh.
Yeah, so when like if you ever watch me do a speedrun of Into the Maw of Chaos, on normal you spawn with two gas mines, two the explosion mines, regular mines. And as long as you have more than one, you could do this. You just look straight down and right click. No matter how high you're falling from, it'll stop your momentum and you won't die.
I see.
So yeah, because when you throw it, it hits into your hitbox and it stops you for a second. So I guess that's what's going on with elevatoring when you're looking up and you're dropping it into yourself, and you're able to move up, ever so slowly. I actually didn't know you can look straight up with them too. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's actually we do use that, but like in a different way than you probably would expect it. We like if you yeah, the best example is Maw. Like I drop down into this really big chasm and I just look straight down, right click with the mine, and like it just stops all my momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because it's so small and the hitbox isn't flat, you don't like take fall damage from it. So yeah, like it's very useful. So that's actually pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Another
So you
technique.
learned something from him. So
Yeah,
that's great.
I've heard of elevatoring before, but I never knew what it was because I like
Sorry.
it's just it. I guess elevatoring in the way that you were talking about it, we just never do it in the run, and I never had to do it, casually. So I just never knew that it actually existed.
What I recognized during your speedrun is that you always throw away the flares.
Yeah, I don't like they're just pointless.
Yes,
Because
they are. No matter if you're speedrun.
Probably the most pointless object in the entire series. Next to
full-heartedly disagree.
Next to the dewdrop.
No, stop.
Okay.
No, the dewdrop is. I think this is like just an Easter egg. I don't know who invented it.
Downwinder.
Downwinder invented that. The thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great
But-
thing. So I like it.
So yeah, but we actually get rid of them because it saves a couple, like a frame or two on menuing, if you can
Yeah,
believe it or not.
was
Because when we're
imagining that.
cycling through our menus and we have to hit tab one more time to cycle to the flash or whatever we want to use, like that's kind of annoying. So we just get rid of them right off the bat a lot of the times.
Even I know that in missions that are really long, like newer missions, they require so many items and so many keys sometimes. And for me, even it's annoying, and I can totally imagine that it will save you some seconds there. Is it like when you run? I think you just do it. You're like a robot going through there, right? You know what you're doing. You know what to press.
Yeah.
I think you could do it in your sleep. Like just someone would put a keyboard into your hands and the mouse, and you would do it just blind. So do you know like every button to press on what time? Is it so automated? Most times.
In Thief 1, yes, because like I've probably done over 1,000 runs, like pretty deep, into the game. So like at this point, like I know, when I like, and you get used to like hitting your keybinds. It's like, did you? Yeah, I bet you knew you could bind like flash bombs to a specific key or whatever.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so a lot of runners don't do that. They manually cycle to it. And I try to tell them, like, just bind it to a key that you'll always know what it'll be. But a lot of them just say nope.
Even I changed those things. Like F1 and F2 are my lockpicks, for example.
Yeah, I leave those the same, but like F4 is kind of like easy to hit. But I think it's like F4, F5 by default or something. And they put it backwards too. I think they like F4 is like the big one, and F5 is like the small one. So it's like kind of annoying.
Maybe I don't know if F1 is the small and F2 is the big one for me.
Like the triangle and square, whatever it is.
And I, for example, I use the buttons T and G to cycle up and down in the items.
I use
and B for clearing them.
Yeah, I use tab and the button above tab. I forget what it's called. The one next to the one key, the tilde.
Cute face. I don't know.
No, it's above tab next to one.
Circumflex.
Cedilla.
This key, I'll type it.
I think it's circumflex, but we have different keyboard mapping, so maybe.
That's right. That's right. You guys probably have like the German keyboard or whatever.
We have that arrow up, that's used for the cute face.
Oh, okay.
and the degree sign.
And I use shift to clear my inventory. Yeah, like every runner and I think every player in general probably has like different setups for their keys and whatever. It's pretty cool.
As long as it works for you, I think it's good. So, but
yeah,
I was just interested how you do it, and and you answered already my next question, because like do you most speedrunners have like the same mapping because you figured out that's the fastest? But
no,
seems like no.
That's just personal preference. Yeah. One thing is on New Dark for Thief 1, it's important to have jump bound to the scroll wheel, so that you can get your bunny hops like perfect. And
this is how you do it.
Yes, that's how you do it perfectly. You could still do it like pretty well, and actually, there's a lot of leeway to still do it with the space button or space key. But like, you're never gonna miss it if you scroll wheel.
Because I know that in Thief 2, if you're jumping on a sloped surface, you can get your speed up, but there's little leeway there. You have to be quite precise.
Yeah. So like no one else binds in Thief 2 when they run it to the scroll wheel, but like little thing, if I don't know if you know this, but like if you get like 4 good hops in a row on a slope, you break the threshold for the speed, and then you could actually bunny hop like in Thief 1.
Oh.
So
okay.
Yeah,
it's like Super Mario.
You have to get 4 of them in a row, like special, like perfect. So the only level that would probably be useful on is like what is it? Trail of Blood, where you start on the top of the hill.
I use this technique in Bathory campaign, the first mission, when you have to go into the city. You can jump on the slopes and you can mantle up the side walls, and Alex is gonna love this one. In that case, you don't have to get wet.
Just for explanation, because Nex is like such a supreme ghost star.
Oh no.
No, but he wants to keep it realistic, and of course, he always feels like really bad, like when he drops water out of his clothes when he was in a canal or something.
I get it. Yeah.
How are you gonna burgle when you have water dripping off you? I mean, you're
Yeah.
soaked.
You know what the thieves in Home Alone were called? The wet bandits. So I think there is some meaning to that.
I can't believe that wasn't like a game mechanic. Maybe it was just too hard to code back then.
Yeah.
But like after you get out of water, maybe for like a certain time, you leave like watered spots on the ground. Like that would have been a good game mechanic. But I
no,
guess
I don't think so, because like this, sometimes I think for example, in Thief 2 Mission 3, you have to go through the canal by normal when you play it just normal. So I think they would have made something like force the player like now to wait or change clothes or whatsoever. I think it's Thief like has so much for the atmosphere and how things work and some realism here and there in quotes, but I think sometimes you can just leave it a game.
Sacrifice some realism for like some
for the fun,
make a better gameplay. Yeah.
And like you are, of course it's dark, but guards can like walk up to you, they can smell you already, and they don't recognize you. So, and I think that's fair. Because when you play like modern games with maybe stealth mechanics, the AI maybe reacts more realistically, and I think that's the thing that destroys it sometimes, because you need to relate how it works. I think that's why the first Thief games are so amazing, because we players that played for such a long time, we know how things work, and I think it's hard. Would be harder, especially for someone like you with speedrunning. You have to know how everything works, and if it's more like RNG, what you said, what is today more a thing, I think it wouldn't be as cool for you, and for an average player as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So next, go on.
I've noticed. I have to say this. When I thought that I had good movement within Thief. I played it a lot, and when I saw your videos, it was. I mean, the amount of times that you quick saved was scary, because you didn't what was that, like 10 times at tops over an hour long speed run? I do more speed saving quick saving in 5 minutes.
Well, that's funny. That's funny. Because when I play casually, I'm probably like that. I save like after every 10 seconds, because I don't want to have to go back and replay it again. Which it's ironic that I speedrun and I don't want to replay something casually. But like when you're starting out, you probably save a lot. But like the reason why I actually don't save a lot is because on Old Dark, the original game, quick save, quick load was only bound to F11 and F12, and you couldn't change it.
Yes.
So
I hated it.
So reaching over to hit those buttons would lose me time. So that's why we don't save as much as you would probably want us to.
And they're close together.
Yeah, and they're right next to each other. So you fat finger, F12, and suddenly you're back like 10 seconds or 20 seconds, whenever the last time you saved, and it's like, ugh. So yeah, like once you get used to the run, this goes for any game, but like once you get used to it, you just kind of get confident that you're not gonna mess up, so you just don't save as much.
Because there's a lot of tricky jumps, there's a lot of tricky movements, and
the only time I probably save now, like I haven't ran the game in probably over a month or two, but I've just been playing it casually. But the only time I would save now is probably right before a fling, because those can, I said earlier, like depending on how fast you flick and how when you're looking when you're done, can kill you or not. So it's kind of like that's still something I don't want to chance. So but that's it. Yeah, like, and you were talking about like the movement and whatever. You get so used to that, like holding W and D. First off, I have walk unbound, like at all. I don't walk ever. I don't change my speed. Some people say it's useful for tricks. I don't do that. I just learned to do it with run. And even when I play casually, I just have run bound. I don't walk ever.
Yeah, if it works, it's more effective, I think.
Because
I have the shift modifier too.
Yeah,
you just hold it down.
I don't have any modifier. Like I just run everywhere because I'm so confident like in the way I play now. Like I know how the AI works. Like I know like even if I get into a fight with them, if I just bring them over to a shadow and I get right behind them and hit them, they'll get knocked out even in the middle of a combat. So to me, like I just like I feel like a god playing whenever I play casually. So like I'm so confident that I just don't even bind like walk or anything. I barely use like moss arrows and stuff because like I just know like I can probably make the jump to the carpet if I bunny hop once or twice.
What I said to Next today when we were talking about this episode before, I said like I think sometimes the way you play it is maybe more realistic than like a ghosting thing, because you sometimes just run through a hallway, you grab all the stuff, bim, 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 and the guards don't know what happened. You know, this is more safe than sitting in the corner and like waiting. You know, like you just boop, 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 and you just hear them in the far away, like, is someone there? and you are already in the next mission. You know,
that's just like everyone, like if you ever watch it, like oh the thief AI is so good, it's so like realistic the way the sound works. It's bad. Like you could just run by them and it'll take them forever to realize you just ran by them. And I do want to stress that that's not how I usually play casually. I do try to at least stick to the shadows and like crouch everywhere and walk slowly.
yeah, that's the fun of the game. Basically, that's something why we like it.
Yeah,
but I think sometimes the speedrun is like more accurate.
Yeah, like if like when I'm playing a fan mission and it starts to annoy me a little bit, I think it's kind of disrespectful a little bit, but I just start like running through everything and just not caring because I just want to finish the level. Yeah, like I don't care. Like I know that I could just outrun these guards because they're terrible.
Or at least you do it like you make a quick save, then you run through everywhere. Like, okay, is there anything important here? And then you reload and
like you scout the area.
Found.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course we do that, and
that is actually what I do now. Yeah,
but
like
that's what I said before. Like the AI is very predictable, and that is maybe more fun for the stealth and for the speed running as well, because you know what happens, and that's why I think they knew that, and maybe that's why they had to make those random encounters. You know, like
probably
to add a bit of a surprise.
So the bunny jumping you said it's only executable in Thief 1, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about circle jumping?
What is circle jumping?
Well, let's say this all originates from the Quake engine, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
You're talking about like where you jump and you like wiggle the mouse. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, I suppose that that's the Quake version of bunny jumping. Bunny hopping, yeah. But this might be me imagining, but I always felt like in Thief, I never tested it, which is a fault of mine, but circle jumping in Quake would be to turn your mouse just as you're about to jump. So pretty much you're looking sideways, and then you quickly turn to the place where you want to go and jump at the same time. And
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
like you flick the mouse as you're jumping. Yeah. That doesn't do anything in Thief 2, or in Thief in general. Yeah. Like some people think it does, and like you'll see people when they bunny hop, they'll flick the mouse towards where they want to go. But like we tested it like with we made a map, or I made a map.
Oh, like one of those Quake maps where you
like jump test. You know, I made it for myself, and I did it, and every time it was like the same time as just holding WD and just jumping mindlessly. So like it creates a placebo that it actually is making you faster, but it's not.
Okay, note to self. Put Quake off for a while. Okay,
Quake's a good game. Quake's a good game. I wouldn't stop playing it. Yeah.
I love the movement there, but
That's probably like where speedrunning like originated. That and Doom.
Yeah.
Like
Speed Demos Archive.
I think Doom.
Yeah, Doom was probably the originator because like the demo file stuff.
Or maybe even Super Mario or something like that.
Maybe.
Because you could already do it on the NES, with the Super Mario Brothers. I think, maybe of course you didn't have like the internet, so that it was wasn't common. But I think there were people already.
I think anytime like a game probably had a timer to it, like someone was trying to get it to be as like low or as quick as it could be. So
are there like SimCity speedruns?
I don't know. Probably. SimCity, you said? Probably.
SimCity? Sims not. I see a Sims speedrun, but SimCity I could imagine.
Probably not. I mean, I don't know. Like a run like that, probably not.
That is something to Google after this.
There actually is, yeah.
I didn't expect there to be a Minecraft speedrun, but apparently
there's if there's a video game out there, there's probably someone speedrunning it.
Yeah.
But how do you speedrun Minecraft?
Kill the dragon as fast as fast.
Right. Later they added that content, right? But back to topic.
Yeah. Not a Minecraft podcast.
I think there are enough.
So when we touched a little bit on the assassins mission and the follow, when you have to follow at the start, I think this is the only follow mission in Thief 1, and you found 2 ways actually.
Oh my god, yes, I love that level.
I do too. Many hate it, but
on Old Dark it's kind of boring, because and I explained this in my GDQ run.
Yeah.
And this is just another thing that you learn how the game works from speedrunning it. Like you probably would never learn this casually. When you block someone, when you block with the blackjack, it still counts as an attack, and you knock someone out with it on the old engine. If you try this on New Dark now, Voodoo and whoever else makes the missions fixed it actually. But on the original engine, when you blocked, it counted as an attack that did 0 damage. So and on assassins, if you swing regularly, like left click, the blackjack it always does at least 1 damage. So the game sees that you did 1 damage to them, so it counts as a fail. But if you do 0 damage to them, but you still knock them out, the game's just like, oh, I guess they knocked out somehow. Okay, and like you could just carry one of them to the mansion, and it completes that objective of following them. And because we run T-Fix.
Yes, I didn't get that when I saw your speedrun. I was like,
when we blocked and knocked him out.
Yeah, I was like, wait, you explained it, but I still was like, huh? How did that? I think this is something. This is really, it was hard for you to explain with picture material.
Yeah.
But I think it's even harder. So because watch this, because there are so many things where you're like, what the?
And the funny thing is, no one figured that out until 2009, because Next said it like just a couple of minutes ago. Speed Demos Archive, the website. There's like a forum for every game, and someone found out, like, if you go back in the thread for Thief 1, that in 2009, and they've been doing this since 2007, and I think on TTLG, if you kind of look it up, you see threads from like 2001 of people even speedrunning the game. So Thief speedrunning isn't like a new thing, but like nowadays with all the glitches and stuff, it's probably a whole different
the internet
beast.
bigger with the streaming and stuff.
Yeah, back then, and like it was probably like 5 people. I think Lithia was one of like the original speedrunners.
Maybe.
He always like kept a thread like of his best times, and if like nowadays it's funny to look at it. It's like 5-minute, Baffords. It's like, okay, well, I could do it in 23 seconds, but
yeah, 100 years ago we were still riding horse carts, so
like progression, yeah,
and they started that, like it needs someone like that.
Yeah, it takes
Gates
someone has to do the first step,
Yeah,
someone has to go out and do it, and he did it. So shout outs to him. I don't know if he still posts nowadays or what he's doing, but
I don't know. But shout outs.
Yeah, shout outs to him, dude, and shout out to everyone on TTLG. They're all pretty cool people. It's kind of cool that now, like 20 years later, we're still talking about the video games. Like that's awesome.
I don't know, bunch of taffers.
But anyway, yeah, like when you block the assassin, it counts as like knocking him out and doing no damage. So the game's just like, all right, whatever, you knocked him out. Like good on you. You found out how to do it. So like I see it like almost as like a reward for finding out that you could just do that. Obviously, it's not intentional. I don't think the devs wanted you to find out that blocking would just bypass it. But
oh, you're gonna take me there? I'm gonna take you there.
yeah, and you just
Right.
that's all you do. You just carry him the whole way there.
And it's faster than following him.
Yeah, it's faster than following by a long shot. And
Oh, this mission was so exciting. Damn.
yeah, like before, like if you had to follow them, it would take about 4.5 minutes, and now it takes like 1:30 because of that. So
Yeah. So an improvement.
yeah, yeah.
But
And I said earlier on the new engine, Voodoo and T-Fix, rather Voodoo fixes. If you do T-Fix Lite, which is just the new dark engine, you could actually still do it. But with T-Fix, he decided again that you shouldn't be able to do that. So he fixed that, and you know, that's cool. And instead, we now have this really cool trick where we lure them. So how that works, AIs have like set stages of alertness, right? So like stage 1 is when they just go, huh? And then stage 2 is like when they start looking, but like they don't know where you are. And then stage 3 is like when they're full on attack, like they're gonna kill you.
Yeah.
And the mission only fails if they reach level 3. So what we do is we keep them in level 2 the entire time, and just like make noises with like arrows and like swing our blackjacks on like the light posts and stuff, and they'll run to where the sound is. And they'll be like, huh, well, I just heard something over here, but I don't see anything. And then we make another sound.
Chicky.
Yeah. So we just lure them the entire way. And that was found again by Angder, the Thief Gold New Dark Runner. And
oh,
How
here's
fast
another...
is that? That still only saves about a minute compared to it doesn't save as much as just carrying them. Yeah.
But the thing is that the pathing that they take is random, if I'm correct.
Yeah. So before we found that was like another RNG aspect. Actually, is there's at the bridge. They have it like when you're following them, they kind of like go down this path and they cross that little bridge, if you remember right, the little tiny yeah. And at the end of that, they either go left or they go right. If they went right, you lost like 30 seconds.
Okay, I didn't know that they
take a wider route. Yeah, and if they go left, they it's a shorter route. And that was like another thing that kind of annoyed people, was that they could just lose 30 seconds because the AI was like, oh, flipped a coin, landed tails, went that way.
I feel like in a lot of games, the speedrunners always kind of find a way to eliminate those random factors.
And there was another random factor too. When they would walk their path, is sometimes they would randomly turn around and do like a looking animation.
Oh yeah,
and that would lose time. So what you would do is you would just shoot them with a water arrow, and for some reason that just skips the animation. So you would just shoot a water arrow at them every like 10 seconds, and ultimately they would just walk straight to the end. We actually do that on Trace the Courier for Thief 2. At the start, she goes to this point and then does a look around, and if you shoot the water arrow, she skips that, saving like 10 seconds.
Because I was wondering about that. I saw the Count's video, your video. Everybody's shooting water arrows there, and I thought, guys, this following must be really boring that they're shooing water arrows.
No. Like if we do something, it's probably like planned. Like we're doing it for a reason.
Yeah.
Like on the second level for Thief Gold, or the second real level, break Crag's Cleft. When we are waiting for Cuddy to finish his dialogue, we shoot like the noisemaker arrows. We're not doing that for fun. We're doing that because the guy upstairs, it keeps him like in place, so he doesn't run downstairs to us and see what's going on.
I see.
Yeah, there's a lot of planned things going on.
So how optimized do you think is the assassin, the new dark assassin's follow abuse?
Oh, okay. I think I'll look it up real quick, but I'm pretty sure the fastest time for that is like 3 minutes and 3 seconds, I think. Oh, let me look it up. I think that's pretty like optimized for that level.
Because it looks very sketchy when you see it.
Yeah. When you watch it, you're like, huh? Like, shouldn't they be alerted and shouldn't they be failing? But it's like no. It's like no. It's like we know that as long as you keep them in 2, like it'll never fail.
I see.
So we just learned. Yeah. Oh yeah. The record is actually 257. Jesus. Okay. And that's because of and I forgot to say this earlier. Actually, this is my fault. When you bind scroll wheel to jump on New Dark, and you jump while on top of an object, you jump like 50 times in a second, and that's how we get all those like insane speed boosts when you see us like jump off a table or something. Because every frame you're jumping off the table because of the object friction. I don't know how to explain it. Just like trust me, if you bind it to scroll wheel and you jump on an object, you're just gonna go like way faster than you would just regular spacebar jumping off of it.
All right, noted.
Yeah, so like on that level, we open the front doors. Like we go through the front doors because we don't care. We alert everybody. We don't care. It actually does matter on expert because I think there's an objective on expert where like if you set off the alarm, you have to get back to your house. So that's the only level on the expert speedrun that we actually play as intended.
There's not a lot of expert speedrunning though, is there?
Unfortunately, no. Like like there's one guy who's grinding it out right now. Beth Resin is his name. He's a French dude. He's almost done with the whole game. He's grinding it down each level, but he hasn't done it in like one sitting. Me and Black Secret have done expert runs, but like they're not as good as I think they should be, to be honest.
Oh, you're holding the second place there.
Yeah.
By, half
I'm gonna I'm gonna say like my run, like if you again look at the dates, like his was a lot more recent than mine.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying I'm not saying like he did it really well.
He's going down. He's going down.
No, he's really good at the game. He's found so many tricks, so I don't want to put him down. But that's a little joke between me and him. He's like, "Oh, I have the record." I'm like, "Yeah, but if I ever feel like playing it, I could probably get it back."
He also holds the Thief Gold on the Old Dark, and he's actually on the time with loads. He's slower than you, but time without loads, he's so the time without loads is the official one, I guess.
Because everybody's computer is different. Some people like I have a solid state, so my loads especially on the old engine take like half a second, and his loads are like a second each. So
either way, you're only a second behind. So
yeah, I told him that again, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know about that." And I was like, "Okay, we'll see.
It's on."
How actually is like I think the communities except those one dude you mentioned, I can imagine like since speedrunning is like not such a big community, or
for Thief?
For Thief, yes, of course.
Oh, it's probably like a little group of like 10 of us, to be honest.
So I think like the atmosphere is pretty friendly, right?
Yeah, like we're all chill. Like, I'm like joking, like, oh, I could beat his times, but like I don't think he cares because he could probably get it back again too. Like
friendly competition.
Yeah, friendly. That's what drives the games down.
You need each other because you all find out little things that can improve your run for the next time, and then the other one. So yeah, that's
like
cool.
I remember when I was learning the Dark Project, the only runner was Onejin, and like I would study his runs for like hours, and I would compare his and mine because like this was back when I wasn't beating his time, and I was like, oh my god, like he does this so much better than me. Like it motivates you, like friendly competition. Like if you're doing it by yourself, you get it to a point, and then you're like, all right, whatever, it was fun. But like when you get another person or two involved, and you're all like trying your best to like play it really well, it makes the game a lot more just optimized, I guess.
And is it like when someone finds out really something new that you like the clipping with a wall you explained earlier that it was found out pretty late, that like this motivates all of you?
Yeah.
Like then suddenly, oh, there's a new thing, and suddenly everyone's like running the thief again.
So funny story with that. Just before Game's Done Quick, I got a sub 30 run. So and this was back when we were still timing it with loads. So in under 30 minutes, like if I started it right now, like 30 minutes from now, I'd finish the run. And
Crazy.
yeah, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so done with this game. You know, like that's it. Like I could probably bring it down another 30 seconds ish if I want, like if I really wanted to grind it out. But that's like I'm done. And then he comes in, he's like, yeah, I found wall clips, man. And like instantly within the next like 2 weeks, the game went down another like 2.5 minutes.
Crazy. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, like, and I was like, oh man, like you said it motivates you, but I was like, oh man, I have to play the game again. I gotta get another run with all these new tricks in, and it's like, oh.
And of course you have to find out the best route you take, and
yeah, and
it's like I can imagine like a trick like that totally can change all of it you've done before, because it makes things obsolete.
Yeah, like we used to go through, like if you watch my GDQ run, we go through the front door on Baffords, and you have to like lean through the gate and hit the switch, and then go up the staircase and take like a really long route and everything. And within like a day, someone found out you could just clip this wall, go inside immediately, and then clip this wall, and clip this wall, and you get inside the staircase. You know, like that secret staircase on Baffords that like leads to the pool.
Yes.
Yeah, like for some reason Baffords is so thin. Every wall is 1 unit thick. I'm pretty sure whoever made it like just plopped down a bunch of 1 unit walls everywhere, like made it out of Legos. So we found out that you could just clip into that staircase, taking you immediately upstairs, and like that level went from like 38 seconds to like 24, and that's huge, like in one day. And like overall, like the whole game just like went down so much. And yeah, it definitely motivated on a level, but like, you know, like personally I was like, I just got this run. Like I made like a whole, like I like it was kind of like cringe. I made like a whole speech. Like I was like, oh man, thanks everyone. You know, like because sub 30 is kind of huge, right? Like that's like a milestone in a way. Like 30-minute run. Like if I sat you down before I even talked to you about speedrunning and said, yeah, you could beat the game in 30 minutes, you probably would be like, no, you can't. And
it takes you 30 hours. Actually, have you played the game?
It's like maybe Baffords can be beaten in 30 minutes, you would say, but like nope, like 30 minutes, that's all you need. So like it was pretty huge. And when he found that trick out, I was like, oh.
Now that you say this, which one is more prevalent, Thief Gold or Thief Dark Project, or are they viewed as the same?
So they're both different games with different leaderboards.
Okay.
Like ideally, I would want to make them one leaderboard and then add like some variables, but that's like a discussion for another day.
Because sorry.
No, you can say it. Sorry.
Because we were talking about the 30-minute barrier. The Thief Gold is very near the 30-minute barrier.
We think like with just one more skip, we can probably get that to at least in the 30, like 30 minutes and like some odd seconds, we think. But like getting sub 30 for that is going to be hard. For the longest time on Thief Gold, New Dark, sub 40 was like the goal. And like we could have gotten it. Yeah, we could have gotten it before wall clipping for New Dark was found with New Mantle, but like it would have been like really close. But now that we have the New Mantle wall clipping, it was actually so free, like to get it. Like it was pretty like you know, it was just like a joke. And the funny thing with that is it was free, but no one wanted to play Thief Gold New Dark. Because yeah, everyone moved over to Thief the Dark Project New Dark because it's just a quicker run, you know. So like whatever is the quickest game, people are more inclined to learn it because you know like it's less time commitment and all that.
Yeah, the result is more achieving.
Yeah, like you know you could sit down and learn it faster and you could get more runs in and blah blah blah. and like people were like, "Oh my god, it's kind of embarrassing that it's not sub 40 yet." And I was like, "All right, I'm gonna do a run of it because like screw it." And I got it, and it was like kind of cool, but it was kind of like a little deflating that like it was this huge thing in the community, and then like it just wasn't because the wall clipping now just annihilates it.
Interesting.
Yeah, everything's pretty interesting. Like all of it, like the technique, the technology behind it, what you learn, the community, and how everything started. This is a great topic.
Watching you, Psych0sis, I found that when you were playing, when you were playing on your stream, of course, you you seemed a little bit pessimistic whenever you would come towards some sketchy
A trick or something.
Yeah, and you were always
that's
like,
how I like to look at things. Yeah.
I felt
then-
like, is this to protect yourself from the morale
failure?
drop?
Yeah. Like I don't want to get my like. It's kind of like a psychological thing, you know. I don't want to like, you know. It's like if you go into a movie thinking it's going to be like the greatest movie you ever seen, you're going to get let down, you know. Unless it's actually like the greatest movie you ever seen, but like that's going to be pretty hard. Like you kind of fluff it up in your head. So like when I'm running, I'm like, oh, I'm going to fail this trick. Like, you know, like, and then if I fail, I'm like, see, I told you. And it's like kind of funny for the stream and whatever. But then if I get it, I'm like, oh, hey, I actually got it. Wow. And like it kind of like psychologically helps me like keep going in the thing.
Yeah, because that can be a
like because you know it sounds funny, but like when you're speedrunning, you kind of like your heart rate, especially if you're on a really good run, right? Like one that you've like you're about a minute ahead of like your previous run, and you're like, wow, I'm gonna get like such a good record or such a good, you know, just PB. And I'm like, and then your heart starts racing, and like then you start messing up a little, or you get nervous, and like your mouse, especially like on PC, like your mouse, you know, your hand starts shaking, so your mouse looks a little unsteady. And like that's why like I try to keep as calm as I can be. Like I'll get mad at the game, but then I'll get over it in like half a second. I'm like, all right, whatever. Like
It's like a relationship, right?
Yeah, like, you know. So I try to keep as calm as I can, because that mindset, especially when you're grinding the game over and over and over and over, like mindset helps a lot, right?
Oh, yeah.
And this goes with anything. Like if you're doing something, you know, like if you're sports analogy here, like if you're trying to, you know, make your basketball shot like more accurate, like, and you're just sitting there grinding, you know, shooting from the free throw line over and over, you know, it's going to get annoying. So you have to keep yourself like motivated, and that applies to anything, especially speedrunning.
A positive attitude, that's what I learned through depression, actually, is that if you change your attitude, you totally change the outcome of what you're doing. And even if it's like repetitive work, of course, you know, you can compare it like to working like all the same job because you decide to play this game. But it's still something. If you change your attitude, then you will change, and everything will change, and you will get so much more out of it. And so we learned something for life here.
Yeah, it's definitely like important too. Like when I'm speedrunning, right? Like, and this applies again to anything. When I fail the trick, you know, like you don't dwell on it for like the next run or whatever. Like you're just like, all right, you know what? It happened. You know, it's over with, and now like I'm on to the next day. So like you have a bad day, or the next run, I mean. And so like when you have a bad day, you're like, you know what? That day's behind me. Whatever. Today's going to be the best day ever. You know, like that's how you so like speedrunning actually helped me a lot in this, cuz like again, like I was a little depressed, but like, you know, just learning, you know, how to like help myself get over these like mental ups, because when I started running, I was actually like really ragey and like pissed off all the time.
Okay.
And like now, like I've really calmed down. I'm like, you know what, it's whatever. The trick failed, and like it helped me like mellow out a little bit, so it definitely helps.
Yeah. So I think this is a good positive mindset to come to an end, because we almost reached like the 2-hour
I think we just got over it a little bit, almost, maybe. No.
No, we started recording, but when we really started the episode, it's cool.
Right.
We don't have like a deadline, but I think like the 2 hours is always cool. And I think at this point we had a very, very interesting discussion or an interview, whatever you want to call it. And Psych0sis, we're really thankful because this was like a really great view on that. On that specific topic, which, as you said, like 10 people about like are really into this, like doing it, and maybe some hundreds watching. So it's always really amazing. So thank you a lot for your great job explaining everything, and of course for the finding the appointment for today. Actually, that helped a lot.
Yeah. And that's ultimately like the best thing about Thief, right? It's like you could just play it however you want to play it. And tackle anything however you want. So
yeah,
like
sorry.
Some people might look down on us for speedrunning, like, oh, that's not how you're supposed to play the game. It's like,
yeah, but there's always
who told
those
you that, like who told you that? Like maybe the developers, why else would they put the timer on the end screen? Like maybe they wanted us to see how fast we could do it and how many other like statistics we can do.
That's what I thought. Like when I was thinking of speedrunning, then I recognized like, yeah, there's actually a timer for a game where you're supposed to be slow, but maybe you're not. Whatever, they give
it's
you
like,
every option.
Why else would they put that? Yeah, like why would they put that there? Probably, they wanted to give you like another thing you can measure yourself by. And this time I decided, hey, I want to measure myself by time.
They did a great job with all the little achievements, like if you found all the secrets and how much loot did you get, and they people still compare this till date. That's really great. So yeah,
it's a testament to Thief that I mean, just the range of plays when you can see on YouTube an 8-hour video of a speedrunner doing 1,000 attempts on a certain mission, or a Supreme Ghoster who does one.
Who does 8 hours on one mission with one run? Yes,
like Clatremus, I think. Is that how you say the name?
Clatremus, Clatremus on German.
His videos are amazing, and like that sounds funny that I like his video, but like I do, like, because Supreme Ghosting is a really cool way to play the game.
Yeah.
However you want to play the game, just play it. Like like no, don't let anyone tell you, oh, you're not supposed to do that. It's like, who cares?
Yeah, that's stupid. Yeah, it is. So again, thank you a lot from NYC. It was a pleasure. And is there anything you maybe want to say at the end? Something to mention? Something? What's on your mind? Please.
Like maybe like a shout out or something. Is that what
whatever you want to say? Now you are allowed to say what you want.
Yeah, shout out, to the amazing Through the Looking Glass community. Like that's like everyone says, oh yeah, like they're a bunch of goofballs, but 20 years later they're still here talking about the game, and I think without TTLG still being up, the game probably would not even be that popular anymore.
Yes.
I do stream on Twitch. It's Psych0sis _TV. The 0 in my name the O in Psych0sis is a 0.
We will put that into the description of the podcast. So
if you want to watch me, shout outs to everyone in the speedrunning community, all 10 of us.
You can name them.
Yeah. Okay. The Morphous
time.
The Amorphous Gamer, Black Secret, the Count, especially, like he's brought the game to a new level. So like he's probably the most influential person that I could shout out. One Jin, Skaki. If you believe it or not, the famous mission author used to speedrun a little bit, and one of his runs was actually what got me into Thief Gold. So like that's a huge shout out to him. And even today, when he makes a mission, he speedruns it. He speedruns it for the hell of it. Like he likes speedrunning. He does. That's probably a little known fact about Skaki. But huge shout out to him, because he just probably motivated everyone to play Thief or Drawmed or anything, really. and who else? Just a couple other people, Angder. Yeah, just a whole bunch of great people. I love everyone who speedruns the game. Like, we're all really great people.
It's always risky when you start naming everyone, and then the pressure for getting someone is
Yeah,
bigger and
right.
bigger.
Like, I don't want to forget anyone. I probably did forget someone, and if I did, my bad.
Yeah. But I can totally say the same, like with our podcast, like we're really new, and the feedback, especially on the last episode, it's amazing. And then you are a bit proud, like when people like Platremus or someone, when they respond to this and they give you positive feedback, this is like, oh, great.
You're like,
That's
I
so
watched that guy's
cool.
video and he likes mine. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So thanks from us. We just take the
Oh,
spot
by
and
the way,
thank the
I
community
do.
as well.
I guess this is actually kind of important. We're some of the speedrunners are actually trying to work on a Supreme Ghost tool for Supreme Ghosting that'll tell you when you alerted someone. If it's not like, because like with Burricks and zombies, it's kind of like hard to tell if you actually alerted them. Like, we're trying to actually work on a tool that can say, like, yeah, you alerted him. Right now, we have a tool that that fails the mission as soon as you reach a level 1 alert. But we're trying to actually, like, we're trying to tweak it to, like, maybe it'll load a quick save instead, or it'll say something on screen like you have a level 1 alert.
No,
wouldn't it just be easier to make the Burricks and zombies talk?
Probably.
Just change some audio files.
Yeah, we're trying that, because some people, even though they speedrun, they love Supreme Ghosting. This guy Dan PC has a Supreme Ghost speedrun of
That's amazing.
Lord Bafford's Manor. Yes, and he actually did it the entire level in 8 minutes. Supreme Ghosting it. Like, it was actually kind of funny to watch.
Okay, I have to see that. I'm interested in that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as I said, thank you a lot. Thanks to the community. Next, any words?
The age of running to the basement is over. The new age of wall clipping is in. So strap down and get ready.
Okay, so this was it from us. And who wonders, Soth sadly couldn't make it today. He had some private things to do. So next time he will be with us again. We missed you, buddy. But anyway, thanks that you're cool with that we're doing it without, because others would have maybe bragged about it. So see you guys. Have a nice day, whatever, and listen next time.
Bye.
Join us now.
Dude, oh my god, dude, do you remember when I told you about the second mission, about the barrier that's around the water where the ship is in, and how I needed to use the invisibility potions to get to the water? I found a way to get behind the barrier, from jumping. There are rocks on the side, and on either side of the shore there are rocks, and you can, from the building B, you can jump to the edge, and then to the rocks, and then into the water on the other side of the barrier. But I've never been able to get through the barrier, because you technically could just use flares and elevator up, and then just elevator forward, but that would mean like elevatoring forward for like, I don't know, that would take 30 minutes of just tedious work. Just save it. It's not what I want. And I just played right now, and it turns out that the barrier around, well, first of all, why you would have to spend 30 minutes is because oh my god, I'm so excited. Because there's water on the other side, on the other side of the barrier as well, and you can't start elevatoring from the water, right? So you would have to go to the shore, elevator up, elevator forward, out of sight, and then jump across, right? But it turns out that the barrier is just I think it's 5 to 6 units tall, which means it's just too tall to mantle on it from the water. Even if you do the dolphin technique, it doesn't work. But I just found out that if I take a crate there,
and I put the crate into the water, I can mantle onto the crate, and then you would fall through the crate. But you can just jump at the right moment, or really don't really jump. But you can mantle because you're higher once you're mantling on the crate. You can mantle on the invisible edge, and you can then get into the water. So pretty much you just you get through the barrier, man. It's no more invisibility potions. I tested with 2 crates, and it turns out that if you have 2 crates and you put one in the water and then one directly on top of it, you can mantle on the crate, but you will not fall through the crate, which is also amazing. But you can't really return the crate, and like that. So that's not that fun. But yeah, the barrier has been broken. So I mean, this leaves invisibility potions for sketchy areas and building B. I don't know. I have to replay it again. I feel. Oh man. I mean, I've been here like 3 or 4 times that I replayed this mission, like past year and 2 years before that. I always wanted to get through that, and I spent it must have been like 3 hours just jumping around there trying to find the. I mean, at one point I tried to jump from the rocks at the start of the shore. Try to jump far enough and precisely enough so that you would mantle on the. But yeah, it's broken, man.
It's wow. Yeah. Buck, sorry for the long message. Enjoy your beer fest, and have fun, man. See you.
This guy makes the hammers sound sane.